Hey guys, what's going on? It's Clever Techie, and in this video we're going to be continuing covering top 100 PHP functions that you see highlighted here. The first one is mkdir, which makes directory and returns a boolean, so it's going to be true if the directory has been successfully created and false if the attempt at creating the directory has failed. It accepts string as the path name. Then we can optionally specify the mode in which the directory should be created, as well as a recursive. We can set the recursive to true if we wanted to create subfolders as well. So let me go ahead and show you an example here. Okay, so the script where the file is located is in this directory here. So I'm just going to copy the path name. And then I'm just going to use mkdir. And create a new folder, just like that, and then run the script, and now we have a new folder. So that's how easy it is to make a new folder. And let me now delete it so I can show you how we can also make subfolders. So we can set the mode to 0777, which is allow all access, and then set the recursive to true. Actually, let's do this first. So new folder and then subfolder. So this isn't going to work because recursive is set to false by default. So if we run this, it's going to say no such file or directory because the new folder doesn't exist yet. So if we set the recursive to true, it's going to create new folder as well as a subfolder. So that's what this true value is for if we wanted to create subfolders. So I'm going to refresh the page, go back to the folder. Now we have a new folder as well as a subfolder. And I'm going to go ahead and delete it again. And we can have as many levels for subfolders as we want to. So we can say another subfolder, folder, etc. Now run it, and all of those folders are going to be created because we have set the recursive to true. Alright, so that's how that works. And the next function is callable. Okay, so isCallable verifies that the contents of a variable can be called as a function. So that can be a little bit confusing at first, but basically what it means is if we have a variable with a function name, so this is a function that we have here called pre_r. So we can store that function name in a variable. So we can say print array equals pre_r. So now this function is stored as a string inside of this print array variable. So this is where isCallable. Here's what we can use isCallable and say echo isCallable, and then print array, which is the name of our function, and then that will return true or false if the function is in fact callable. I'm gonna go ahead and comment this part out so we don't get the error message. So we get a 1, which means the function is callable. Now we can also capture the function's name and print it out if we wanted to. So we can say false and then callable name. So now the callable name is going to have the actual function name. So if we print that out, callable name, that should have the name of our function, which is pre_r. There it is. Okay, so that's isCallable. The next one is ltrim. And we already covered trim and rtrim, so this one should be self-explanatory. It basically just strips white space or other characters from the beginning of a string. So it's the opposite of rtrim, where it stripped characters from the end of the string. This one strips the characters from the beginning of the string. And it works in exactly the same way, where we specify the string for the parameter, and then optionally we can specify our own character mask of the characters that we want to remove from the string. And here's all the characters that are removed by default. So let's just say Clever Techie, echo rtrim text. Actually, just to show you that it in fact removes the space, rtrim text. I'm sorry, ltrim. And now the space has been removed, as you can tell. And if we wanted to remove some custom characters like CL, we can do that by specifying the character mask, and now the CL has been removed. So we can do that as well. Okay, so the next function is OBStart, which is used to turn on output buffering. And what that means is, instead of outputting the content to the screen, to the browser immediately, we want to capture it in a buffer. So it's like capturing it in a variable. And then at the time that we want to, later on during the script execution, we can use a function called OBEnd to output the content to the screen. Okay, so let me show you an example here. So let's suppose we just had some random text like text. Okay, so instead of just printing the content out right away, we can use OBStart to store the content inside the buffer. And in order to store the content, we need to store it in the actual variable. So we would do content ob get contents, and that will get the contents of the buffer, which is the output of the variable hello. So it's gonna be welcome to my awesome website. Yeah, so what's important to understand about this is the content that's going to be captured is the output part only. So whatever is related to whatever variables we set is unrelated to the actual buffer. So we have captured the buffer, and then at the end we OBEnd clean to clean the buffer. So if we run this function now, you can see that it's not printing out the contents of hello. It's been captured inside the buffer. So if we wanted to output it, we can print out the content, and there it is. So this is the basic structure of how the buffer works. But a more practical example would be to use a callback function. So let's create some HTML here, just so I can show you guys how this works. And I already have some HTML here, so I don't have to type it. So I just have some basic HTML page with Clever Techie's favorite programming language is C++. So this is considered the buffer content because all of this is the output, and it's supposed to be printed out by the browser right away. But instead we're gonna use OBStart, and then OBStart also accepts a callback function. So we can do this. If we look it up here, you can see that it accepts a callable output callback, and we can then just use we can create a function called callback, and it would accept the buffer as a parameter. And then we can modify that buffer and do whatever we want with it. And for example, we can say str replace, and we're just going to replace C++ with PHP because PHP is our favorite language. So instead of printing out Clever Techie's favorite programming language is C++, we want to capture this part, and then we want to replace this part of the content with PHP. And this can be really useful when we want to modify the content before printing it out to the page. So hopefully this all makes sense. So then if we go to the browser, refresh the page, you can see that Clever Techie's favorite programming language is PHP. So that's how the buffering works. And the next function is round, which basically just rounds a float number. So I'm just going to give you a bunch of examples here. Echo round 4.2. So this is going to round the number to 4, obviously. We can also use a second parameter to specify how many digits we want to round it after the decimal point. So if we wanted just 2 digits, we would provide number 2, and that would output 2.96. Like that. Another example is 0.45, 2. So this will be 5.05. And we can also use constants, which you see here. So PHP round half up, round half down, round half even, and round half odd. So round half up is gonna round up the number from the half, so 1.5 will turn into 2. If we use half up, round half down is gonna be the opposite, so it's gonna go down from 1.5 into 1. And then round half even is gonna rounded to the even number, and round half odd is gonna be the rounded to the odd number. So instead of typing here, I'm just gonna paste it all right here, and just gonna use the BR as well. And so 4.5 using round half up is gonna turn it into 5. Round half down is gonna turn it into 4. Round half even is gonna make it a 4, and round half odd is gonna turn this into 5. So that's how the round works. And the next function is fwrite, which I already covered in previous videos. It's just used to write the content to the file. So let's first go ahead and create a file. And so it accepts the handle, which is a resource of the file, which is opened by the fopen function. So we can just say new file, and also the function fopen accepts the writing mode as a second parameter. So I'm going to specify w, which means to write to the file, and then fwrite handle and content. So now we should have the new file created with the text "Love is Unity." I'm gonna go to the folder here, new file. Oops, let me delete all this stuff here. I think I forgot the txt. Yep. Refresh. New file, Love is Unity. So that's how fwrite works, and the next function is array unique. Alright, let's create an array. I'm gonna name it animals, with just a bunch of animal names, and some of them are gonna be duplicate animal names. And now we're gonna use array unique to remove those duplicate values from the array. So now we can just print out the original array, and then we can say unique animals equals array unique animals, and pre-r unique animals. refresh the page, and now so this is original array with cat here, which is a duplicate value, and 2 wolves. And so array unique removes the duplicate values, and now we have array with only unique animals. But you can see that these keys are not in sequential order now. So it just removed the keys, but it hasn't reset them. So if we wanted to reset the keys, there's a trick for that. We can use array merge along with the array unique. So you can do this, and array merge just merges two or more. Array merge merges one or more arrays together, and if we only specify one array, it's gonna reset the array keys. So now we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the array keys have been reset, along with the duplicate values removed from the array. So that's just a handy way to remove duplicate values and reset the keys as well, so that our later looping through the array is not going to be messed up. Okay, so that's how that works. And the next one is array search. So very simple array search, just searches for the value inside of the array, and then returns its it returns its key. So it's going to take in the needle, which is a search value, and then array as a haystack. And what's important to remember is it's going to return the key and not the actual value. So if we're going to search our animal array, we can say array search unique animals, and let's say we wanted to search for wolf. So since our wolf is 5, it should return that key 5. Oops, it's the opposite. Wolf, so needle and then haystack, like this. So now we got a 5. So if we wanted to print out the actual wolf value, we can just say unique animals and then put the whole thing inside of the square brackets like this, since we know that it's going to return the array key. So it's the same as saying unique animals and then square brackets and then key 5, which is wolf, inside of the unique animals array. So now we'll get wolf, just like that. Okay, so that's how array search works. And the next one is reset, which sets the internal pointer of the array to its first element. So let's go through our unique animals array and say, okay, so this function is used with 2 other functions called current and next. So current gets the current pointer of the array, which starts from the beginning. So we can say echo current unique animals. Let's see what we get here. So the first value is cat. So this is where our array pointer is located right now. If we use next, we'll get the next value, which is the next key inside of the array, dog. And so we can go through next, and it'll be flamingo. Next, it'll be rooster. And then if we use reset, it's going to go back to cat, which is the beginning of the array. So let's just do a couple more here. So you can see that it keeps going. And then echo reset unique animals. And that should bring us back to cat. And there it is. So that's what the reset is for. Alright, and the last one is array unshift. So this is the opposite of array shift that we covered earlier. Instead of shifting the values of the array, which means removing, it actually prepends or adds one or more elements to the beginning of the array. And it accepts the array as the only parameter. And so let's suppose we wanted to add some more animals to our unique animals array, so we can say array unshift. And what's important to understand about this function is it actually modifies the array directly. So after using this function, we're gonna have a different array. Okay, so unique animals, and we can add some more animals. Then print it out. So this is what I meant by directly modifying the array. Would I need to store this inside of another variable, because it returns an int, which I'm assuming is the number of oh, we'll check it out right now. Hold on one sec. So here's the here are the values that have been unshifted to the array, and let's see what happens if we store this array. Oh, okay, so we got the number of elements which is inside the new array, which is 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that's the return value of this function. And again, it modifies the array directly. And that's it for these 10 functions. In the next video, we'll be covering the next set of functions from 71 to 80. And I hope you guys liked this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Clever Techie out.